Hello folks, my name is Chetan Mehta. I'm the founder and principal instructor at Skillcubator Training and Placement Institute. In this video, I'm going to share top roles in the IT domain in which you don't need any engineering or technical background, and neither do you need to learn any programming languages like Java, .NET or any such languages. So agenda is very simple. We'll take a look at 12 roles in the IT domain that do not need any technical background and zero coding involved. Next, we'll see what each role is, key functions, and the skills required. And finally, we'll talk about the transition plan, meaning how can you get into any of these 12 roles. Okay, so here are the 12 roles which we'll discuss. First, business analyst. Second, business process analyst. Third, data analyst. Fourth, product owner. Fifth, cloud computing professional. Sixth, cybersecurity professional. Number 7, IT project manager. Number 8, Scrum Master. Number 9, domain subject matter expert, SME. Number 10, software asset professional. Number 11, manual tester, also known as quality assurance analyst. And finally, number 12, technical writer. So in the coming slides, we'll talk about each of these roles. We'll see the key functions and the skills required for any of these 12 roles. So we'll start with the first one, which is business analyst. Now, this is the most popular role amongst people who are coming from non-technical background or don't want to go for technical roles. In fact, I also started my career as a business analyst and have thoroughly enjoyed working as a business analyst about 15 plus years. Now, as a business analyst, you are responsible to work with business stakeholders, understand their needs and requirements, and translate the requirements into detailed technical specifications, and make sure that the application, the software, is designed and developed as per the stakeholder requirements. Now, key functions, meaning what is the core function of this role? Very simple. Requirements elicitation, meaning how do you elicit, gather the requirements from the stakeholders. Then comes requirements analysis. Then comes documenting the requirements, and finally managing the requirements across a life cycle of the project. Now, as a business analyst, it's important to be aware of the technical concepts, especially concepts that enables automation, like API. What is application programming interface, API? What is a microservice? What is data parsing? And similar concepts. Now, you need to know those concepts. Now, you don't need to write API, but you need to understand what is API and how can we use it to make the processes and applications efficient and effective. Now, while business analyst roles leans more on the people skills side, but today's business analyst must be well versed on the technology side too. I'm not talking about learning how to code, but you must be aware of all the new concepts that's going on in the industry, like AI ML, cloud computing, similar concepts. And main thing is, when it comes to automating process, you must know how can we leverage tech to optimize and automate the processes wherever required. Now let's talk about the skills. Skills, communication skills, that includes writing skills, verbal communication skills, stakeholder management, logical reasoning, facilitation skills, project management skills, ability to create models and other requirements artifacts using tools like Visio, Office, Balsamic, and many other tools. So that's about business analyst. Now we'll go to the second one, which is business process analyst. Now, this role is more about process. Now, business process analyst is responsible to make the processes efficient and effective. That will help organizations to reduce the cost, improve productivity, increase sales and profit. Basically, all the good stuff that organizations are looking for. In short, business process analyst examines, analyzes, captures the processes, and helps in improving the processes and optimize it. Now, key functions of a business process analyst role are pretty much very straightforward. First, understand and capture the current state business processes. Number 2, identify the pain points, issues, bottlenecks in the current state business processes. Number three, you need to design, meaning capture the future state, also known as target state or to be state processes as per the stakeholder requirements. And finally, you need to implement the future state, meaning the target state or to be state processes, whether you are going to use IT or you are simply going to implement it without using any IT component. Okay. Now, as part of this role, there are two main type of initiatives involved. One is business process improvement, and the other one is business process reengineering. Okay. Now let's talk about the skills required for this role. Now this role heavily requires soft skills more than technical skills. And when it comes to skills, communication skills, that includes both verbal and writing, logical reasoning, facilitation, ability to construct models, diagrams using tools like MS Visio, Lucidchart, Glyphy, and any other tools which will help you to create models and diagrams. So that is about business process analyst role. Okay, number three is data analyst. Now this one role is a bit different. Now this is one role that I recommend to anyone who likes to play with the data. A good data analyst are good storytellers because they can tell a story through data. Now, as the title says, data analyst. Now, data analysts are responsible to analyze the data. Now, well, that's not a very good explanation, I believe. Now, let me put this way. As far as the functions are concerned, a data analyst collects the data from multiple sources. They clean the data, meaning they standardize the data, and using tools like Excel, SQL, and data visualization tools like Power BI, Tableau, or any similar tools, they convert the raw data into meaningful information or insights. Data presentation is also a very important aspect of data analysis, like infographics, charts, diagrams, or other visual aids are heavily used. Now, a small disclaimer here, few data analyst roles might need programming languages like Python, R, or SAS, which is Statistical Analysis System. It's a platform used for deep and advanced data analytics. But not all data analyst jobs requires knowledge of Python, R, or SAS. Also, it is easy to learn these languages for someone who doesn't know anything about programming. But again, majority of data analyst jobs don't need any programming language knowledge. Okay. Now let's go over the skills required for a data analyst. First, data visualization and storytelling technique, critical thinking, analytical and logical reasoning, communication skills. Here, verbal is um, not that important, but yes, writing skills are very important, and definitely hands-on working knowledge using tools like Microsoft Excel, SQL, which is structured query language, and data visualization tools like Power BI, Tableau, or similar other tools. That's about data analyst. Okay, number four is a product owner role. Now, this is very prominent role in the software development team, which is using a Scrum framework. Now, Scrum is a type of framework used by software development teams across the world, and I would say that 80% or more than that of the software development projects use Scrum framework. It's that popular. Now, as a product owner, you are the one who will define and communicate the vision of the product. Product can be a software, business application, or it can be a device like wearables, gadgets, phone, tablet, which can have a hardware and software both included. Right? Now, key functions involve a strong business domain knowledge, should have a clear understanding of the end user pulse, meaning what they want to see in the product. They have to have a very good vision for the product. Okay, ability to reach out to the required stakeholders and do the market research, expertise in eliciting the requirements and manage them as part of the product backlog. They should also be good in prioritizing the product backlog as per the value that those product backlog items provide. Okay, so prioritize the product backlog as per the value provided by the product backlog items. Now, skills required or skills needed market research, communication that includes both verbal as well as writing, stakeholder management, logical reasoning, facilitation skills, project management skills, ability to create models and other requirements artifacts using tools like Microsoft Visio, Office, Balsamic, Jira, Confluence, Doors, um, version 1, and any similar tools. So that's about product owner. Okay, number 5 is cloud computing professional. Now, as many companies are moving their applications and it's supporting hardware infrastructure from on premise to cloud, meaning outsourcing it to third party service providers like AWS, Microsoft, Google, or any other providers, there are plenty of roles in cloud computing space that have opened up for non technical people. Roles like cloud business analyst, cloud data engineer, cloud project manager, cloud architect. Now, for the cloud architect, I would recommend must have a strong technical foundation, not necessarily from the programming point of view, but should understand the technology very well and must have a strong command on what's going on in the tech world. Now, there are many other roles in the cloud computing space like cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, cloud administrator, cloud security engineer, but I would recommend these roles to only those people who come from strong technical background. Now, most of these roles will need hands-on knowledge of scripting and bit of programming languages as well. Now, many institutes don't highlight this fact, but be aware of the marketing and sales pitch. These roles, the one that I listed, like cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, cloud administrator, and cloud security engineer, these are not meant for all. Only if you're coming from tech background or if you understand the technology very well, go for these roles. Otherwise, go for cloud business analyst, cloud data engineer, cloud PM, cloud architect roles. Again, as I said, cloud architect, you must be well versed with technology and must have a very strong technical foundation to become a cloud architect. Okay. Now, cloud computing space is dominated by three main service providers, and they are AWS, which is Amazon Web Service, Microsoft Azure, and the third one is Google Cloud Platform, which is called GCP. Now, apart from these three main players, there are other service providers like IBM, Oracle, Salesforce, Alibaba, SAP, and many more. Okay. Now, key functions which largely depend on the exact role, but by and large, it's safe to say that understanding how the cloud works and cloud based system or solution architecture works, determining the compute requirements, provisioning the required cloud hosting services in the cloud, and working with the cloud provisioning team to monitor and manage the cloud infrastructure. These are the main key functions whosoever is working in cloud computing space, especially the roles I mentioned like cloud business analyst, cloud data engineer, cloud PM, right, and cloud architect. Now, same with skills, it will vary depending on the role you select, but in general, you need to be aware of cloud computing concepts, project management, process optimization, requirements elicitation, analysis, documentation. You should know what is Agile, Scrum, must be able to use the cloud console, cost calculator, understanding of computing resources which are commonly used. Like in AWS, we have EC2, RDS, S3, VPC, application load balancer, ALB, network load balancer, NLB, and similar services. Now, few technical roles, additional skills like networking, OS, operating system, security, CI/CD, database, and programming concepts will be essential. Okay, so that's about cloud computing domain. Okay, next we'll look into number 6, cybersecurity professional. Now, what is cybersecurity? So, it is all about keeping your application system safe and secure from all the bad stuff like virus, hackers, malware, spyware, ransomware, and stuff like that. Ensure that your data, your system components, your software components like code is safe and secured from any unauthorized and unwanted access. Your data is protected and encrypted during the transmission process. Now, there are plenty of roles one can target in this domain, like roles like Cybersecurity Analyst, IAM Analyst, which is Identity and Access Management Analyst, Security Operations Control Analyst, SOC Analyst. Then we have Cybersecurity Auditor, Governance, Risk and Compliance Analyst, which is called GRC Analyst, and Cybersecurity Project Manager. Now, good news is that you don't need to come from any technical background like computer science or IT, or neither do you need to learn any programming languages for any of these roles. Now, let's look at the key functions. First and foremost, it's all about threat prevention. You must have heard the proverb that prevention is better than cure. Now, the same principle applies here as well. One has to monitor applications for any threat and detect the threat before it strikes your application. Additionally, functions like incident reporting, risk management, vulnerability assessment, working on security policies and compliance procedures, establishing identity and access management policy and procedures. As far as skills are concerned, one must have analytical mindset, problem solving approach, decent communication skills, verbal and writing or written, ability to think ahead of time, especially what can go wrong and what can be done to prevent that from happening. Basically, risk assessment mindset. Basics of networking, operating system architecture will be of added advantage. Of course, knowledge of security frameworks, compliance models is also important. Okay, so that's about cybersecurity professional. Okay, now let's talk about the seventh role, which is IT project manager. Now, as an IT project manager, you will be accountable and responsible for ensuring that the IT solution is built as per the scope that includes the product and project scope within the budget, meaning you must deliver the solution within the allocated budget, and finally, as per the schedule, the timeline. Now, of course, with a high quality work, right? Quality is always non negotiable. A project must have its scope changed, or it may have its scope changed. A project may take more time to complete, or it can go over budget, but a project must always be delivered, or I would say exceed the quality standard. Okay, it must meet or exceed quality standard. Now, key important functions of an IT PM are plan the project, execute the project, monitor and control the project, and officially close the project. IT PMs lean heavily on soft skills or people skills like communication, which includes verbal and written, leadership skills, stakeholder management skills, problem solving skills, negotiation skills, empathy, active listening, and emotional intelligence. Additionally, ITPM must also be well versed with software development frameworks, mainly Waterfall and Agile Scrum, and techniques like creating project schedule, budget, risk register, EVM, earned value management calculations, sometimes financial calculations like return on investment, ROI, NPV, which is net present value, internal rate of return, IRR, payback period, and the total cost of ownership, which is also known as TCO. Additionally, in my opinion, data analytics can also be a great asset for an IT project manager. Now, they can dissect the data, build reports, see trends, patterns, find correlation, and may also do some predictive or prescriptive analytics if they know how to use those data points. Okay, so that's about IT project manager. Okay, now let's talk about the next role, which is number eight, Scrum Master. Now, Scrum Master is a very prominent role in the Scrum framework. Scrum framework is a type of agile methodology which is commonly used in software development projects. Now, in this video, I won't go into much detail about what a Scrum framework is, but we'll create another video on that and share it on my channel. Okay. Now, as a Scrum Master, you will be ensuring that the Scrum team is focused on the sprint and able to complete all the work that they have committed as part of the sprint. In short, Scrum Master helps the Scrum teams to achieve the sprint goals. They solve the impediments or blockers that the Scrum team is facing. Now, key functions of a Scrum Master are governance. That's number one. Ensure that the Scrum Master is using the Scrum team, not the Scrum Master. The Scrum team is using the Scrum framework as per the established standards, norms, and guidelines. That's number one. Second, act as a facilitator of all the ceremonies, basically events and meetings. Be a coach, guide, and mentor to the Scrum team. Act as a catalyst to remove any impediments or blockers that the Scrum team members are facing, and finally, provide all the required information through the meetings, reports to the stakeholders and other management officials. As far as skills are required, pretty much what we saw for the ITPM, a Scrum Master leans heavily on the soft skills or people skills like communication, that includes verbal and written, leadership, stakeholder management, problem solving, negotiation, empathy, active listening, and emotional intelligence. Now, needless to say that a Scrum Master must be well versed with a Scrum framework, and techniques like data analytics can be of great asset, just like what we saw for PM. Have a proficiency in creating charts like burn down, burn up charts, and creating some interactive dashboards. So that's about Scrum Master. Okay, next we'll talk about the domain subject matter expert. Number nine is domain SME. Now, as a domain SME, you work with the business and software development teams and share your expertise on a particular domain, be it finance, healthcare, insurance, retail, credit card, payments, or any other domain. You must know the key processes in that domain and all the roles that are part of the processes, what type of rules and regulations are applicable, and any regulatory compliance that must be met. Now, usually SMEs are brought in for the rich experience and expertise in a particular area, be it domains, as I said, like finance, healthcare, insurance, retail, payment, or any other domains. Or sometimes SMEs may have what we call a tacit knowledge, the knowledge which cannot be captured in any document. It is hard to transfer. Okay, that's what it is. So these are the type of elements or the expertise that the domain SMEs bring in. Now let's take an example. John has been working as a life insurance underwriter for the past 15 years in the same organization. Now, just imagine how much knowledge John can share with others when it comes to understanding the entire underwriting process within the life insurance domain. So, many different scenarios, examples, rules, do's and don'ts, what documentation will be created, reporting, and similar things, right? So you can understand the domain SMEs bring in that tacit knowledge with them, which is difficult to capture in a single document or in some shape and form. So they are brought in to share their expertise, share their wisdom, and all the knowledge that they have possessed during all these years. Now, key functions of a domain SME, they provide support to the business analyst and product owner to explain the domain. They help in finding gaps, risk, and impact if the risk turns into an issue. They participate in requirements elicitation sessions. They make sure that all the government regulations and compliance standards are met. Right? Now, as far as skills are concerned, I would say mostly tacit knowledge, which has been built over time. Additionally, logical reasoning, communication that includes mostly verbal, decision making, stakeholder management, and ability to understand requirements captured at a low level, which is at a system level or a software level. So that's about the domain subject matter expert. Now let's talk about software asset professional, SAP. Now, surprisingly, not many people know that this role exists. Now, SAP, I'll just call it SAP. SAP manages a software across its life cycle. Now, let's take a simple scenario. Let's imagine at my institute, Skillcubator, we need to purchase an LMS, which is Learning Management System, for our trainees and instructors. Now, the question is, which LMS should we use? Which one is cost effective? Which LMS will have what features? Is there any support included? If yes, what are the terms and conditions? How will the licensing work? Are there any risk involved? What is the maintenance? What is the inventory? Meaning maintaining the inventory of the software assets and tracking it for optimal utilization. So all these things, all these questions must be addressed, analyzed before we can select a specific LMS, right? That is what SAP is responsible for. Now, as you can see, key functions include doing cost benefit analysis or feasibility study across different software vendors. Vendor management, they work with vendors to get the best deal possible for their organization. And also beyond that, one must have a good, healthy working relationship with the vendors. Next, software inventory. Keep a track of all the software assets and licenses and allocate them as per the requirements. Planning and forecasting, meaning understand the organizational needs and requirements in advance and create a plan. Perform risk assessment. Now, SAP professionals play a very, in fact, SAP, which is Software Asset Professional, they play a very crucial role in reducing overhead cost, ensuring legal compliance, and make sure that employees must have the best software to be productive in their work. Now, from the skills point of view, SAP must have a strong negotiation skills, documentation skills, basic management skills. Additionally, one must also be good in doing some basic number crunching since it is heavily used in cost comparison. So that's about software asset professional. And now let's go to the number 11, which is manual tester, quality assurance analyst. Now, a manual tester is a role in software development team where they are responsible for validating the requirements, the software against the stakeholder requirements. Meaning, manual tester is going to verify whether the software is functioning as per the requirements. Right now, their main goal is to find the defects and bugs in the software. A defect or a bug is when a software is not functioning as per the requirements. Additionally, manual testers will try to break the software, meaning they will test the software from all the possible scenarios that can possibly happen when a user would start using the software and see if there are any gaps, errors, or any missed requirements. Now, one thing about this role is that with so much automation built in today's software development process, manual tester role has been replaced with automation test engineer. Okay, and for automation test engineer, you must know how to code. Okay, but for manual tester, you don't need coding knowledge. Basically, the core role and responsibilities are same, but instead of doing it manually, the automation test engineers will use automation tools like Selenium, Postman, and similar such tools to automate the entire testing. As I said just few minutes back, one must know programming languages like Java, .NET, or similar object-oriented languages to work as automation test engineer. Now, from the skills point of view, I would say a tester must have analytical mindset, basic communication skills, which includes verbal and writing. Critical think is critical thinking is very important. A good tester will identify scenarios which most of us may not have thought about. Additionally, technical skills like SQL, API will be of great asset. And last but not the least, technical writer. Now, this role is not very much talked about either. As the name says, technical writer is the one who creates technical documentation for the solution. Solution can be a software or can be a tangible product. And technical documentation may include things like release notes, user guide, user manual, how-to articles, FAQs, build knowledge base, and standard operating procedures, which is SOPs. Skills that will be required to become a good technical writer are communication, verbal and writing, analytical thinking, attention to detail and accuracy, ability to simplify complex information for non-technical audience, knowledge of software development lifecycle, technical concepts like cloud computing, APIs, system architecture will be of great value. So, we talked about the 12 roles in IT in which you don't need any technical background and no coding involved. Now, let's talk about the transition plan. I would recommend you do two things. First, play to your strength and core competencies. Now, based on your education, meaning what you have studied in the past and your work experience, right? That is your background. So, based on your background, which includes your education and work experience, try to select a path that aligns to your strength and core competency. For example, someone who has worked in sales and marketing, he or she can be a very good fit in a customer facing roles like business analyst, scrum master, IT project manager. Similarly, if someone has a strong accounting or finance background, data analyst can be a very good fit for them. And second, align the role with your long term career aspiration and don't go for something because you have heard that it's cool, gives you six-figure salary. In fact, all the roles I've listed above will give you a great career, salary, and additional benefits. Your salary will also depend on many other factors like country, location, domain, company size, and its overall financial health. Right? So, as I said, select the role that aligns to your past, meaning education and past work experience, that will give you a clear edge over other people. Plus, what you are looking in future, where do you want to see yourself in future? So you need to consider all these factors: your education, your past work experience, your core competency, and your future career goals. Together you will have to select the right role, and you will be much more successful, and you can create a great career out of it. Right, so that's all for now. Now I'm going to make more short videos on each of these additional roles, or in fact the roles I have listed in this video. And in that, I'm going to list down in more detail what skills, what tools, software will be needed, and how you can transition into that specific role. Okay. So I'm going to create more short videos on each of those individual roles that I've listed in this video. Now, if you found this helpful, like, comment, share your feedback, and join my channel for more such educational content. And for all your training and placement needs, please contact us on info@skillcubator.com. You can also email me on chetanvmehta@skillcubator.com. We can be reached on 703-200-9921 or 647-699-4001. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye.